Have you ever felt the sting of loneliness, yearning for companionship in the midst of a bustling city? In the heart of Vienna, where cobblestone streets whisper tales of history and grand buildings stand as silent sentinels of time, lived a woman named Clara who knew this feeling all too well. Her life, once a melody of quiet routines and solitary musings, took an unexpected turn when a flock of crows descended upon her rooftop sanctuary. What began as an annoyance grew into a profound journey of connection, resilience, and unexpected friendships. This is a tale of how the smallest of places can hold the deepest of bonds, and how even the most solitary heart can find companionship in the most surprising of ways. Join Clara as she navigates the delicate dance between isolation and intimacy, finding solace in the cacophonous calls of crows and the gentle companionship of a newfound friend. Here's the story of the power of connection, feathers, and friendship. Enjoy. In the heart of Vienna, Clara lived alone in a quaint apartment that was a sanctuary from the city's vibrant chaos. Her life was steeped in quiet routines, filled with the gentle strains of classical music, the scent of tea leaves steeping, and the comforting touch of old books. The world outside seemed a distant hum, and her rooftop balcony was her only connection to it, a small garden oasis where she could breathe and find solace. But one day, her sanctuary was invaded. A flock of crows descended upon her balcony, shattering the tranquility with their raucous cawing and insistent pecking. Clara's heart sank as she watched them tear at her plants, their black feathers stark against the greenery. Among the intruders, one crow stood out for his brazen behavior. She named him Rascal for his audacious habit of flinging small rocks off the roof, each clatter a deliberate provocation. Clara's attempts to reclaim her space were met with relentless defiance. The crows returned daily, their presence growing bolder. Rascal seemed to delight in her frustration, his dark eyes gleaming with mischief. Clara's neighbor, Jacob, watched her futile battles with the crows from his window. He found the spectacle curious, but chose to keep his thoughts to himself. Each encounter with the crows intensified Clara's irritation. She waved her arms, shouted, and wielded a broom, but the crows remained undeterred. Rascal's antics grew more audacious, his pebble flinging now a routine part of her day. Clara's anger simmered, her solitary retreat invaded by these unwelcome guests. As weeks turned into months, Clara's irritation began to give way to an inexplicable curiosity. She found herself drawn to the balcony, watching the crows with a growing sense of wonder. She began to notice the nuances in their behavior, the distinct personalities within the flock. Despite Rascal's ongoing mischief, Clara's anger softened into reluctant fascination. One frosty morning, as Clara sipped her tea and gazed at the crows, she noticed Rascal limping. Her heart, which had grown accustomed to irritation, now tightened with concern. She watched as the other crows rallied around him, offering bits of food and comfort. It was a moment of vulnerability that pierced Clara's defenses. That evening, she left out some breadcrumbs, a small gesture of goodwill. Jacob, who had been silently observing Clara's evolving relationship with the crows, finally approached her one afternoon. "You have quite an audience," he remarked, nodding toward the crows. Clara smiled wryly. "They seem to have taken a liking to this place," she replied. Jacob hesitated before continuing. I always thought it was a bit strange, but now I see there's something almost beautiful about it. Their conversation marked the beginning of a tentative friendship. Jacob started to join Clara on the balcony, initially out of curiosity, but soon he too found himself charmed by the crows. He was particularly amused by Rascal's antics, often laughing as the crow executed another mischievous deed. Clara, though still exasperated by Rascal, couldn't help but share in Jacob's laughter. As their friendship blossomed, Clara and Jacob spent more time together. They exchanged stories about their lives, revealing the loneliness that had shadowed them both. Clara learned that Jacob had moved to Vienna after a painful breakup, struggling to find his place in the bustling city. In turn, Clara shared her own tales of isolation and the solace she found in her books and music. Through these conversations, Clara began to see the crows in a new light. She realized that their presence, once a source of irritation, had brought an unexpected connection into her life. Rascal, with his defiant antics, became a symbol of resilience and survival. Clara's heart softened further, her bond with the crows deepening as she watched their intricate social dance. One particularly cold winter evening, a fierce storm swept through Vienna. Clara watched from her window as the crows huddled together for warmth. Rascal, despite his usual mischief, was seen nuzzling the smaller, shivering crows, offering them comfort. It was a poignant moment that touched Clara deeply. She began to see Rascal not just as a nuisance, but as a creature with his own struggles and instincts. As Clara's relationship with the crows deepened, so did her friendship with Jacob. They spent countless hours on the balcony, watching the crows and sharing stories. One evening, as the sun set over Vienna, Clara noticed Rascal perched unusually close to her. He seemed almost contemplative, his beady eyes reflecting the golden light. Clara reached out slowly, offering a piece of bread. To her surprise, Rascal accepted it, his usual defiance replaced by a rare moment of peace. Watching this, Jacob smiled. "You've made quite an impression on them," he said softly. Clara nodded, her eyes misty. "And they've done the same for me." Through her bond with the crows and her growing friendship with Jacob, Clara learned to embrace the unexpected connections life offered. Her once lonely existence blossomed with new relationships and a deeper appreciation for the world around her. The crows, with their enigmatic conversations and unique personalities, taught her that even the smallest interactions could lead to profound connections. Jacob, too, found a renewed sense of purpose and belonging. His friendship with Clara and the bond they shared with the crows helped him heal from his past heartbreak. Together, they created a new chapter in their lives, one filled with companionship and shared moments. As the seasons changed, Clara and Jacob continued to nurture their friendship and their connection with the crows. They learned to understand the crows' behavior, even deciphering some of their unique calls and signals. Clara's once lonely rooftop had transformed into a place of community and joy. One spring morning, Clara awoke to the sound of excited cawing. She stepped onto the balcony to find a small nest nestled among her plants. Rascal stood nearby, his chest puffed out proudly. Clara and Jacob watched in awe as tiny, downy heads peeked out from the nest. The arrival of the baby crows marked a new beginning. Clara felt a deep sense of fulfillment as she watched Rascal and the other crows care for the fledglings. Her bond with the crows had come full circle, from initial hostility to profound connection. Through the crows, Clara had learned valuable lessons about resilience, compassion, and the importance of unexpected connections. Her life, once marked by solitude, was now enriched by the friendships she had formed. She had found companionship not only in Jacob, but also in the crows, who had become an integral part of her world. In the end, Clara realized that the heart's capacity for friendship was limitless. Her rooftop balcony, a once solitary retreat, had become a place of shared moments and newfound joy. And as she sat there with Jacob and her feathered friends, she understood that even in the vastness of the city, true companionship could be found in the most unexpected places. Years later, Clara and Jacob remained close friends, their bond stronger than ever. The crows continued to visit Clara's balcony, their presence a constant reminder of the unexpected connections that had transformed her life. Clara's story became a source of inspiration for others in her community. She began to share her experiences with loneliness and the surprising friendships she had formed. Her balcony became a symbol of hope, a place where people gathered to witness the crows and to find solace in their own lives. Through her journey, Clara discovered that even the smallest of places could hold the greatest of connections. Her life, once filled with solitude, was now enriched by the friendships she had built and the lessons she had learned. This story reminds us that while loneliness may shadow our hearts, the smallest interactions can ignite the deepest bonds, enriching our lives with companionship and joy. We hope you enjoyed this story and have related to many parts of it as we have. Feel free to leave a comment letting us know which parts of Clara's story you found most relatable. And, as always, remember, be nice to yourself. You deserve it.